Hello and welcome to the transcription explanation of this design. It was done using Loren Sherman's script, which uses a combination of dots and lines on these four different stems to make our consonants. And vowels are a bit trickier. They're smaller circles, and they have different positions depending upon what vowel they are and if they're attached on one of these four stems. So this is an E by itself, just on the line of the word circle. This is a B-E because this stem is a B stem, this deep divot here, with an E in the middle of it. Then a J-E because this is the J stem. This is a T-E because this is the T stem. And lastly, a T-H-E. So these are all the combinations possible of the different vowels and consonant teams. And you read the consonant first and then the vowel if they're a team. And this design also has some accented vowels, which accents are these hash marks. And the acute accent, the one that shows up in this one, is the one line hash mark. So, like this is an acute accent. So, it's got one hash mark. And that hash mark can be either on the consonant that is around the vowel or on the vowel itself, which is what this bit's about. And lastly, this is everything about numbers. So, I made a more formal guide. This is what Loren adopted in their script to be the numbers, and this is the numbers that I came up with. But again, they've been adopted into the most, I guess, official of the Gallifreyan guides. So anyway, they have lines and dots and digit rings. So these are the digit rings in blue, and the dots are worth 5 points, and a line is worth 1 point. So this is the number 17 because it's got 1 in the outermost column and 1, 5, 1, so 2 plus 5 is 7, so 17, and then a negative and yada yada. But anyway, that's the basis of it. Numbers are pretty simple, and that's actually what we're going to go through first in this design is the numbers because they kind of make the most sense. So let's talk about the order and phrasing of this design. So you read the script bottom counterclockwise, spiraling inwards, but that doesn't really happen here on this design. It kind of does because you read the numbers and then the names. But anyway, so this is the bottommost bit, and it does spiral kind of counterclockwise here before picking up here and doing the same thing. Anyway, so here we have our first word, and the bottom of it is here, and this is the first stem you hit. It is a circle inside the circle. I guess we're going through the words now. We're just going to go through this in order. So this is the first letter, which is an M because it's a circle inside the word circle with 3 lines. So 1, 2, 3 lines. And these lines, they can curve, they can be straight. What matters is when they end on it. So even though this is like in the same path, it ends here and it ends here. So that's 1, and then 2, and then 3. So that's an M. Continuing around, here we have a circle outside the word circle, and it's smaller. So this is an A because it's outside the word circle. M-A. Then we have a shallow divot, so in this row with 3 dots, so that is an R, M-A-R. And then we have a diacritic, or a accented vowel. It's got 1 hash mark, so it's got that acute accent on it. And it is an I because it's got a line going towards the middle. So the accent line is not the line of the I because it doesn't end on the circle, but this one ends on the circle, so it does count for the I. This is just the accent mark. So it is an I with an accent. And then we have the A, another A, and A's can be kind of big for vowels because they're the only thing outside the word circle, and I wanted something to kind of end the flow of the design here. So M-A-R-I with an accent A, and then we have our next word, bottom of it, here's our first stem, and this line never ends on it, neither does this one. So because the lines pass through, they do not count. So this actually has no modifiers. It's just a J. It's just the first one here in this row of circles inside the word circle. So J. And then we have an O because it's inside the word circle, like that. And then we have this shallow divot, so same as this, except it has 1, 2, 3 line. Again, these lines, they can be tricky. They can look like circles almost, but it ends here and it ends here. So that's a third line, making that an S. And then we have an E on the line of the word circle with no line, so just like the I, except without a line. So with an accent on it again. So there's the Jose. And then, it's also purely letter to letter. So even though the J is a J, it doesn't go J. It's the ho, like the H sound. But you still write the J because it's a letter to letter. So J-O-S-E with an accent. So that's the first name. And then we hit this date. I put the dates in gray just to help kind of break it up. I have some variations of the design sent to you with them in gray and them in black. But anyway, here we have our first number because it's the first one we hit going bottom counterclockwise. And here we have the outermost ring. So we have 1, 2 rings before the decimal point, so this is going to be a 2-digit number. And the tens place, the outer one or the bigger one, has 1, 2, 3 lines on it, so that's a 3. And then the inner one has nothing on it, so that's a 0, so that's a 30. And here's the next number. So this outer ring is broken, but that doesn't matter. And this line doesn't go through a completed ring, so it doesn't count because the lines, they can break and be stacked on top of each other. It doesn't matter so long as the part that has the number in it still exists, but the number in the outermost digit here is a 0 because this is the month O and then 1 line and a 5, so 6. So O, 6. And then here we have our last one. So here's that big thick one with 1 line. Let's continue around 2. So 2. Then we have a 0, because nothing's in here. Then we have a 1, 2, so 2, and then a 1. So 2021. So 30/06, 2021. And then we have this name, bottom of it. Here's our first letter. That is a B, because it's this stem with no modifiers, deep divot, no modifiers, with an E hanging out in the middle of the B stem. So here we have a B-E, so B-E. Then we have 3 dots on a circle inside the word circle, so here with 3 dots, L. And then we have a stacked stem, so we have a double line, so it's a double letter. And they're 2 different thicknesses. This one is thinner than this one, so they're different letters. So we read the thin one first and then the thick one. And this thin one has no modifiers. There's no lines or dots on it because these dots are here, these dots are on the thick one. So that's a T. And then we have this thick one with 3 dots, so that's an R. And then we have an A outside the word circle with an accent, so that's the accented A. And then we have the N. Yes, lines can count in both the numbers and the words. You can count lines for multiple things. All that matters is that it ends. So 1 line can count for 2 things, so it has 2 ends. So we have this N because it's got 1 line on it, ending here. And then we have this next name, or these numbers. It's kind of ambiguous which one you read first, but it's pretty obvious that these numbers go here and these numbers go here because they're on that decoration circle. Because if you're going direct bottom up, you hit this one. If you're going bottom counterclockwise, you hit this one. But technically with the spiraling outwards, inwards, you'd read the numbers first. So we're going to go to the numbers first. So here we have our first number, second number, third number, following that order rule. And we have an outer circle and an inner circle. So that's a 2-digit number. And in the outer one, we have a 2, because 1 line, 2 line. And in the inner one, we just have that 5 dot. So that is a 25. And then we have this next number, outer one, has nothing in it again. Even though this line branches off of it, it doesn't matter. For these, it matters what's in the space between. So this is a 0, and then a 1, and a 5, so 6. So just like this 6, 1, and a 5 is 6. So 25/06, and then we have this last number, 1, 2, 3, 4 digits, so this is the year. 1, 2, and this line doesn't count because the circle breaks here. You don't count a line that is breaking it, you only count a line that passes through it, like I said before. So 2 in the first one, and then we have nothing in the second one, this thin second one. So 2, O, and then 1, just a 1, and then 1, 2, plus 5, plus 1, 2, so 4 plus 5 is 9, so that would be 19, so 2019, so 2019. So again, that is 25/06, 2019. And then we have our last, oh no, the name, we didn't go through this name yet, because inwards. So here's a B, no modifiers, because this goes through. Then we have an A. Then we have a U, because it's got a line going outwards. So the U's have lines going outwards from the word circle, I's have lines going inwards. B, A, U, and then we have this shallow divot with, again, this line does not end on it, so it doesn't count. So that is a T, and then we have an I line going inwards. And then we have another stacked stem. Here's the thin one, because we read thin to thick if it's a stacked stem. 1, 2, this one passes through, so it doesn't count. 3. So again, that's that thin one here, and that thick one here. So that's 3 lines. And then we have this the thick one, which we read second, with no lines ending on it. So that's just a T, and then an A, because it's outside the word circle. So B-A-U-T-I-S-T-A. And lastly, we have a shallow divot with 1, 2, 3 dots, because these 3 dots are closer here, these 3 dots are on this one. So that is an R. Continuing around here, we have that A outside the word circle. And it's important that this line does not actually end on it, because the A's have no lines. So R-A, then we have a deep divot, so it's more than 50% completed, with 1, 2, 3 lines. So 1, 2, 3 lines ending on it. So that is an F, and another A, then an E on the line of the word circle, and then that 1, 2, 3 dot L. So that is that design. There was a lot of little rules involved in this one, but I think it looks really cool, and I hope it makes a fantastic calf tattoo. Yeah. Woo. If you have any questions, let me know.